Right, hello boys and girls, and welcome to this tutorial on how to do a moving image mood board, how to create one in Premiere Pro. Just to put you in the picture, a moving image mood board is used by creators of content, film content, box sets, stuff for Amazon, Netflix, that sort of thing. It's for when you pitch your idea to get funding, and quite often these are created using original content you've created yourself, but more often than not they're created with third-party content just to show the feel and the style and the sound of what they're trying to produce. So word of warning, if you're using third-party content like I am, first of all, don't try and monetize. Secondly, do the right thing and credit the sources that you've used. Even ask permission if you can. I've not asked permission, so let's see if I run into any tricky business, but I've certainly credited all the people that I've stolen from in the comments section of this video. So here we are with Premiere Pro. I'm going to set up a new project. Certain things are already in place for me because I've done this a few times already. But I've got a folder already for Moving Image Mood Board under Premiere Projects folder in my documents. But it's worth checking to make sure you're going to the right place. I'm going to choose that folder. I'm going to give it a name. Then okay, I'll cover these settings in another tutorial, but this is going to be long enough, this one. So, right, when you first get into Premiere, you probably won't see exactly this because I've already navigated in a previous project to where I need to be. But over here's your media browser. You can resize all these, by the way, and as to your needs, and move things around in Premiere. I've already been through all my local drive, blah, 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 down to documents, down to Premiere Projects, down to Moving Image Mood Board, and here's all my content. What I've done is, before I set up this project, I made sure that all the content that I want to use is already in the same project folder, and that the project folder and the content are all on the local drive, the C drive, or in this case the internal drive of the Mac. You don't want to have stuff running from external drive, and you don't want stuff coming from different places because it will only slow your project down, put more demands on the CPU, cause latency and that sort of thing. So up the left hand side here we've got an area where you've got various controls and mixers and you can manipulate your content. Here we've got a preview pane, and here we've got your workflow. Here you've got all your plugins and effects and that sort of thing, but we'll use all these momentarily. So I think there's a storm coming. 1 second while I just pop the lights on. There we are. There's lots of wind in the background. Sorry, I'm in the loft. Raging outside it is, and my greenhouse blows over again. I'm going to be very annoyed. What I'm creating is a mood board for a film called Juno Love, which is a project I'm immersed in at the moment, and it's about an obsessed synthesizer owner who tries to demonstrate the Juno 60 synthesizer to an audience. So I'm kind of using a lot of demonstration videos and performance videos for the synthesizer. I'm using serious ones, and these guys aren't obsessed and nerdy like my character. So I've also brought Mr. Bean in. It's a bit extreme. He's more extreme than my character is, but it'll do for now to show the kind of nerdy nature of my character. But also Mr. Bean goes to a cafe where he's waited upon and the waiter gets annoyed. That's also part of my story, so that's really good. I can just pinch that. And I also brought in a little bit from Whiplash, where there's an awkward young man on his date, and it all helps to show the look and feel of my production that I want to make. I've used a video by absolute genius called Kaboo. He's a synthesizer performer. He's all over YouTube. Check the links out below and visit him. I'm going to use his soundtrack for now. I'm hoping to compose my own. If it can be a tenth as good as Kaboo's soundtrack, I'm going to be over the moon. But for now, I'm going to completely and utterly steal Kaboo's music, or Kebu, I don't know how you pronounce it, but you're a genius. Thank you very much for the music and the performances. I'm also going to use a demonstration by Dr. Mix as well to show the kind of demonstration type video that I want to use. I've navigated to my content. I need to bring something in. Now, at this point, I discovered the first time I did it, because the Kebu production is widescreen. I don't want widescreen, so I'm actually going to bring in Dr. Mix to start with. Just drag him into my production folder. You'll notice when you do this, it will go on video 1. There's video 1, video 2, video 3, and the audio's gone on audio 1. You can zoom in, have a look at these in different ways. I don't want this at the start, so I'm going to move it along in a minute. But it's setting the scale of my production for the actual frames, and everything else I'm going to fit to that. If you do it the other way around, you can scale them afterwards. It's just a bit more of a headache. Now in Premiere, I'm on video 1 at the moment. If I put something on video 2, it overrides video 1 and you see it on the screen above this one, and so on and so forth. So you've got to be careful where you place these. And also you've got audio 1, audio 2, audio 3. You can add more, and I will add more later on. I'll explain why. But for now, I'm just going to zoom back out again and move this out of the way. Keep these together, the two of them. I certainly need to anyway. Get it well out of the way. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to move them to position 2. So video 2 and audio 2, because that's going to help me in a bit. So for my next trick, let's bring in Kebu. There's Kebu's performance. Now, I don't want the first bit. The first bit is him kind of doing this cool walk into the room. You'll see when I start playing. I don't know all this branding with Roland and stuff, although the synthesizer I'm advertising happens to be Roland. I'm doing something else with this. I don't need all this stuff. I wonder if when the music starts, and I know already, just to speed things along, that it starts around about there. And I can tell actually from the audio, I can see the transient where the music starts. If I zoom in, there's this bit of silence as the light's switching on. He steps up to the keyboards and the music starts. So I'm simply going to get my razor. I've got my smart snap on. I'm going to cut just before that audio. Go back to my selector, get rid of the bit beforehand. Zoom back out again. Drag over. All right. I've also got a bit of branding that I did in Photoshop. It's based on the Juno 60 logo. Juno Love, name of my production. It's all in development stages. It may change yet. But I want this to appear over the start of the first few bars of music. So let's have a little look. It's got no background on that logo, so it's great. It just sits over comfortably. I want it over the first 4 bars. 2, 3, 4. There we go. So I only need that long. Let's knock that back. I'm going to now go to, if I select it, over my left-hand side here, I've got the controls, the effect controls. If you select the effect controls up here for that piece of, well, for that still. All right, and what I want to do, I want to actually manipulate that, automate it, so it kind of zooms out. I want to make sure, yeah, it does start being in there. So to do that, I'm going to go to what's called scale. Click on, it looks like a stopwatch, and when you click on it, it makes a little dot over here. It's called a keyframe. And if I change the scale, I just push it up with my mouse, fill the screen with Juno Love. That keyframe says well, it's going to start off at a scale of 245.0. I want to get to the end. I want to get to the very end of it without losing it, because I don't want it to stand still at any point. I'm going to just bring this down to tiny like that, and then actually write, by doing that, because you've got the stopwatch on, it will write another keyframe node in there, so to speak. So I should have this now. Right, okay, perfect. I want to bring Dr. Mix in. There's a point in here where Kebu starts playing a rather nice tune. So let's get to that bit. There, that's the bit. And if I switch over to it, it's going to look like Dr. Mix is playing the tune. So I'm more or less where I want to be. Now remember, Dr. Mix over here, I need both the audio and the video for this. I'm going to zoom out, make my life a bit easier. I've got my snap on, so it should snap to that line. It's fairly accurate. It's worth zooming in to make sure. Yeah, look, but it's just double check. Now at the moment, this has come with its own soundtrack, and I want some of this soundtrack, but for the first bit, I just want Kebu playing. So let's see what we've got. Right, so what's actually happening now? I've got Kebu and I've got... So I want to get rid of that. He starts talking around about here. I can see the transient when he starts talking. Made a mistake. What's happened here is that they are linked. So I want just the audio And to make sure I get just audio at this point, I'm going to right click and go unlink. Remember that you've done that in case you need to link them up again at any point. I'm not going to move the speech, it needs to stay in place there with the to sync with Dr. Mix's lips. But now I should have what looks like Dr. Mix playing the kaboo part, and then he starts talking. There's going to be a clash of sound at that point, but we'll deal with that in a moment.
Hi and welcome to Dr. Mix. Here we are with one more classic.
Okay, yeah, I've got what I want almost. I don't really notice, but actually at the point that Dr. Mix came in, I felt it was just not quite in the right place. Right, yes. So I've now joined them together. I'm just going to link the two again, so that if when I nudge this, the audio will nudge with the moving image, so the it doesn't go out of sync. So my problem was I need to look for the start of that. Right, so it's there you go. It's that transient there. That's where I want Dr. Mix to come in. So let's bring that back to there. That should be a bit better. There we go, lovely.
Hi and welcome to Dr. Mix. Here we are with one more classic synthesizer. This is the Roland Juno 60.
You can hear what he's saying, but it's a bit annoying because that music is too loud in the background. I'm going to deal with the edit first on Dr. Mix's dialogue and then worry about that.
An analog synthesizer, 6-voice polyphony, but with a great sound that became iconic, and many people are still looking hard for this synthesizer. What really defines this synthesizer is the sound. So let's actually play it and hear how it sounds.
Right, that's where I want to take it to. Don't really notice, but I'm peaking here, audio-wise, in the red. I'm going to deal with that as well in a minute. I can't do everything at once, obviously. So what it is I don't want any more of either talk or sound from that particular video at that point. So they're linked, so I can just bring them back. And there we go, that's that bit done. And it should then flip back to kaboo.
So let's actually play it and hear how it sounds.
There you go. Right, so back to kaboo, this dude. Right, so we've now got a clash of sounds, we've got things going to the red. For rule of thumb is that when you're editing audio, particularly if you're going to bring another instance back in, you should really do this before you start editing. It's normalize your audio. So there's 6 decibels of headroom in each track. It's going to help with my mix. So do that, press the G key on your keypad, it brings audio gain up. Now use normalize, don't use adjust gain, use normalize, and I'll explain the difference. Normalize reads the waveform and it puts the loudest transient at -6 decibels and moves everything else accordingly. The difference between that and audio gain is audio gain you're either reducing or pushing by, say, 6 decibels. It's not the same thing. If I've got a really quiet piece of audio, it will actually make it louder. So normalizing is a way to get everything uniform. There we go, so I've tricked on Dr. Mix's dialogue. I'm going to bring that in at -6 as well. Still going to have a problem with kaboo being far too loud. So I'm going to click on kaboo. I've done something up here. I want to go back to effects controls. Zoom in a bit. I'm going to use a keyframe to bring the volume of that kaboo synthesizer track down. I'm going to use this cut here as the time to fade down. So at this point, I want to go over to my effect controls and I would like to start an automation with a keyframe. So if I click on these 2 buttons here for left and right channel volume, they're at 0 decibels. They haven't been moved. It doesn't mean 0 silence. It means you haven't moved the fader yet. All right. So we measure in above or below the point of distortion when we're doing audio, and that's what 0 decibels refers to in this instance. And by the time Dr. Mix starts playing, I want that. Oh, I don't want a good 10-15 decibels off that. So let's try -15. And you find actually when you type it in, it actually writes a new keyframe for you. It's quite intuitive. So we should now have...
Hi and welcome to Dr. Mix.
There we are.
Here we are
Much
with
better.
one more classic synthesizer. This is the Roland Juno 60, an analog synthesizer, 6-voice polyphony, but with a great sound that became iconic, and many people are still looking hard for this synthesizer. What really defines this synthesizer is the sound. So let's actually play it and hear how it sounds.
Right, at that point, I want to be bringing it back up again. So I'm going to put in a couple of new nodes, keeping it at -15, and then going to zoom right in. And by the time he's finished talking and gone back into the music, I'm going to go for that transient there. We're going to be back to 0 again.
Hear how it sounds.
There we go, perfecto. Let's move some things out of the way. Right, I mean, I could have gone in before then, but I've gone back to Cebu for a bit. I'm now going to bring Mr. Bean in. Now for this, I'm going to put this in video 3 for now, because it's going to make the audio go onto a new track as well. Actually, having said that, what I'm talking about, I don't need the audio. Let's get rid of that. So we can go video 2, video 3, whatever. It doesn't much matter. There's nothing going over Mr. Bean. And we have a sequence where Mr. Bean's entering a restaurant and the waiter settling him down. He reads a menu. It's kind of like encompassing a whole scene for me. So can you notice so that the framing is slightly out for Mr. Bean? You can see edges there. So I need to go into the effects controls and just nudge that scale up a bit. So there we are. That'll do. That means it fits now without any seeing the other video underneath. Two, three, four. Right, at this point is where I want to bring in my next scene. Now my next scene is an odd one again. I want to bring in a scene of a sun-drenched, sunny field. It's representing some romantic places that I want to bring in, and some outtakes in my video. I'm going very much for that bleached, sunny look. It wasn't quite that bleached what I chose. It was a beautiful field with a drone, very sunny, beautiful day. That's what I'm going to bring in. For some reason, the person who made this called it a fail and isn't very confident about it, but I think it's a beautiful moving image, and full links to it below in the comments. Please go and have a look and support the creator, because I think they filmed it very nicely indeed. I don't want the audio. I'm going to carry on with the Cebu audio, and it's actually interesting because something happens to the music in a minute which will fit very nicely with this, but I'll deal with that in a moment. So I don't want this first bit of the road. I want it when it goes over roughly from that point onwards, I think. So I'm just going to use my latch there to lock onto the bit I want. Bring the cursor back to there, and the video along with it. Zoom in, make sure it's nice and tight, because remember I had it pretty much on the beat, didn't I? Yeah, exactly where I want it, but I want the music to change there. I'm going to cut it and see. I'm going to overestimate rather than under. Always. There we are. There we go. So the reason I put a cut in there is because later in the music, you can see this change here. That bit there is actually a completely change of theme to a rather beautiful, mellow movement in this music. So I'm going to just shift over there. I'm going to put my cut in just there. Get rid of that bit. I don't actually need kaboo again for this, but let's deal with this first. There we go. Snap that over there. Let's see how that works, whether I've got the cut in the right place. Almost slightly late. I mean, it's you know, it's not a massive deal. I could just leave it like that. Let's get rid of kaboo. Being a little bit nerdy, I need to try and get that better. Sorry. Ah, that's the gap there. It was that. Lovely. I'm going to run through 2 phrases of this and bring some other stuff into this in a bit. That'll do. Right, I'm going to stop there. Put in my cut so I know where I am. Everything after that is gone because I'm going to bring in at this point a sudden change. I'm going to bring in a scene from Whiplash. There it is. So that should have, I'm going to like resize this because I'm kind of working in a really small area here. Sometimes forget I can do this. It's very silly. There, that gives me more space, doesn't it? Let's first of all normalize the sound that came with it. And I think you see in this instance it actually gets louder. Yeah, you see that? So that's why you normalize, don't use gain reduction. I know the bit I want to stop at. He says something about the music being good.
Yeah. I really like the music that they play.
Okay, and I'm going to just stop there. And that's more or less the end of my sequence. Got a few extra things to go in though. During this bit, I want to also bring in, I've got some aspects in my production. I'm going to be going to a cafe, there's going to be a romantic wine date, that sort of thing. So let's go back to my browser. I'm going to bring the wine glasses in and the seaside cafe at suitable points. It's going to be halfway through. Okay, so there's the wine glasses. And then I'm going to switch from that to this beach hut. So these are stills, but I can do stuff with these even so. And that's going to go up to the Whiplash moment. Now, I should have zoomed in really to make sure I've got it nice and tight, but let's have a look and see. Right, great, exactly where I want it. I'm also bringing some sound effects into this. Yeah, that's the glasses clinking. I'll bring in some little glasses clinking underneath the glasses. I only want a couple of them. I don't want loads of them. Those will get annoying. So once again, G -6, bring it down to the right level. I'll do some more work on these in a bit as well. But I'll do just a couple of clinks. While I'm at it, I'm going to check the visuals. And what I'm going to do is make sure I've got the visuals selected. I'm going to slightly scale it up. You'll see why I'm doing this in a minute. So I'm bringing that over as far as I can to the left. And I'm going to put a keyframe in. And by the end of it, I want to be as far as I can get to the right without it coming off. All right, it just adds a little bit of motion to the still. So what will happen now is, because it's a moving image and I've used a still, right, this one is obviously not in scale at all. It's completely the wrong shape image. So I'm going to scale that up so it fits. I'm going to go a little bit over the top. I think I'll do a couple of motions on this. I'll do a bit of a zoom in and a twist to the side. So scale. That's lovely. By the end of it, I want it there. I want it closer. But I also want it down on the seats. So let's go back to the start. I need to double check this to make sure that at no point the frame kind of goes off the edge and shows the picture underneath. I didn't click on the position then, we'll just put a... There we are. And I'm going to... Oh, wrong one. I'll bring it down. So it's looking at the seats. So should have quite a nice motion on that. Right, I've also got the C sound effect coming underneath that. So there we are. Right, I want it to all stop dead there, so I'm just going to cut that. Now I'm going to normalise first. Remember, normalise before you cut. It just keeps it consistent if you do bring in more of the same sound. And one more thing I'm going to bring in. I'm actually going to start adding more audio tracks. I'm going to need them anyway. So right click. So once again, I'm working with far too small an area. There we are. Right, that's very, very loud. It's also badly truncated. So what I want is actually that bit there, starting there. And I want that down to -6. It's distorted, I think. Yeah. Pretty certain it is. Yeah, it is. You can see it all shaved off the top. It's a badly recorded sample, but never mind. It will do the trick. All right. Just get it in there nice and tight. So I want this record scratcher to like go, whoa, change of scene. All right, so it brings a bit of a comedy element into it.
This place is nice.
Yeah. I really like the music that they play.
All right, almost there now. I'm going to bring the Juno Love back in. I'd have to actually add a new video channel for that. Video 4. Yeah, there it is. Just drag and drop again. It's going to be part way through. Let's resize my work area again. I said if you've got a mouse, you're going to find this a lot easier. I find it really tricky on the Mac keypad, trackpad thing. I want it basically going the other way this time. There we are. Going to video transitions, dissolve, dip to black on both of these just to finish it off. Also you can change the length there. Right, so we should now have...
This place is nice.
Yeah. I really like the music that they play.
All right, nice finish. Don't over-egg the pudding on transitions and things in this kind of production. You don't want loads of crazy stuff going on special effects unless it's something poignant to your production. Now typically I would have all these sounds on different audio tracks, so I'm going to do that first of all and you'll see why. So I'm going to add a track in there. I'm going to pop that down to that track. I'm going to add another audio track and I'm going to bring that down to that track. So we've got everything which is from a different source should now be on a different audio track. That's really important. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find some audio effects and I'm going to find the EQ. There you go, filter and EQ. I'm going to use what's called a parametric equalizer. I'm going to pop them on these two effects. They're too boomy, they're too big, the effects. I want them to be very thin and light. So having done that, what's happened here, if you click on the audio and go over to effect controls, you'll see it's been added to the bottom here, parametric equalizer. Click on edit. What I'm going to do is just use a big high pass filter on those glasses so they're very, very tinkly sound, very subtle. I tend to add a reverb to them as well, but there we go, much more subtle. I'm going to bring them down in the mix as well. Let's add a reverb on as well. Why not? Why not? Reverb, so it's more dreamy. Add the studio reverb on. You pick up the effect, drag it on. It appears here in effects controls. Edit. I'm just going to use a preset for this. I'll put some kind of large reverb on. Increase the wet signal a bit so it's obvious. I think you can get away with more obvious reverbs in media. Yeah, that's nice. And I'm going to add parametric EQ again to the C. Just take some bottom end off that as well. Not as much. There we go, edit. So it needs to be more contrast to the music and more subtle. Really subtle there now.
This place is nice.
Yeah. I really like the music that they play.
Right, the dialogue from that, even though it's produced, isn't coming through as much. And I could just raise the level of this, but I think I'm going to have a go at popping a compressor on it so that it brings down the louder bits in relation to the dialogue, and I can then push the whole level across. So I'm going to pop dynamics onto that last bit of dialogue there, and got it selected. Edit. There it is. Going to put the compressor on. It's quite a low level, so I'm going to knock the threshold down. Ratio is how much you're compressing by. Let's just see if it's starting to get some gain reduction there. Yeah, you can see a bit. Increase the attack a bit so
This place is nice.
Yeah,
the dialogue comes
I
through.
really like the music that they play.
Right, I've lost kind of more or less 12 decibels a level there. So what I'm going to do is just make it up by 12 decibels. And then some, actually, to bring it up to more the level of the rest of the sound. Let's see if that works. Should be clearer now.
This place is nice.
Yeah, I really like the music that they play.
Yeah, that's a bit better. A bit less attack because I'm the performance of the dialogue, we're getting a little bit lost there, so that should help. I think I'm almost there. There's only one more thing left to do, and that's mix it. I'm happy with the visuals. To mix this and to see why I put everything on separate tracks, I'm going to find my audio track mixer. Looks like this. Don't use the audio clip mixer because that goes clip by clip. This goes by overall channel. And I'd label things. The first thing is taboo, isn't it? Second track is the mix. There we go. Third track was I think it's the clink, isn't it? Clink. Fourth track is C. Fifth track is Whiplash. And the last track is Record Scratch. There we go. And what I can do now is just make sure that the audio is balanced by using the mix, and I can also pan things slightly. So I probably pan some of those effects off slightly. So let's go through the whole thing and let's do a mix. So I'm happy with the level of Kaboo's audio. So I'm leaving that on 0. Make sure Dr. Mix at the right level.
Hi and welcome to Dr. Mix. Here we are with one more classic synthesizer. This is the Roland Juno 60, an analog synthesizer, 6-voice polyphony, but with a great sound that became iconic, and many people...
Yeah, that's fine. It's already compressed, that dialogue. You can tell it's produced. So. But I want to make sure that this... I'm going to put the clink side to the left and the sleeve side to the right. Just give it a sense of space. C, I think, needs a tiny little boost. Those clinks can come down. I want them really subtle. I don't want them as obvious as that. There we go. Yeah, nice. That's better. Slightly boost, slightly to the right. The record scratch is quite loud, isn't it? I'll take it down ever so slightly.
This place is nice.
Yeah, I really like the music that they play.
There we go. And there's my moving image mood board done. Stop it! Right. All that's left to do now, I mean, also I'll check it more thoroughly. There's export, media. If your H.264 is best for like online media like YouTube, Facebook, that sort of thing, match the source if you can. It'll be a larger file, but you can always do a scaled down version later. I'm going to export, and it exports as quick as it can. It's going to take about a minute. I'm not going to sit here with you for a minute. So while it's exporting, thanks very much for watching. It is a long one. If you made it to the end, well done. Catch you next time.